Most men don't get destroyed by life. They get destroyed by the habits they built in silence. Not because you're actually weak, not because you're lazy, but because you're burnt out, you're overwhelmed, and quite frankly, you're running on empty. And when you're empty, you don't sabotage your life on purpose. You sabotage it because you're just tired. Believe me, I know from personal experience in life. In this video, we're going to see exactly where self-sabotage starts, why your brain keeps repeating it, and the first steps to break the cycle without losing who you are. And if you've ever asked yourself, why do I keep messing up? Why do I fall off right when I'm finally gaining momentum? Why do I ruin things the moment they start going right? Listen, it's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You learned how to survive. Now you need to learn how to grow. And until that shifts, nothing else does. Now we're gonna walk through the most common forms of self-sabotage. And then, if you recognize yourself in any of these patterns, understand this isn't about shame. It's about understanding what's going on and knowing your next move. Let's walk through this. Men don't burn down their lives because we're reckless. We burn them down because we don't have space to heal. So our pain, it starts to leak through our actions. If you've ever pushed away good people, if you've ever quit something you desperately needed, if you've ever hurt someone who you loved, maybe you walked away from this opportunity that you actually prayed for, you're not a bad man. You're a man who's basically been carrying too much for way too long. And if that sounds like you, hear this. This isn't random, and it's not a character flaw. There are patterns underneath your behavior. And once you understand where self-sabotage actually comes from, you stop fighting yourself and you start fixing the real problem. So let's talk about where this really begins. Self-sabotage, it doesn't just come from nowhere. This is something that's built. This is something that it's conditioned. It's reinforced over time. So as you do it over and over again, it just reinforces itself. And understand this, if this feels uncomfortably accurate, I need you to stay with me because there's real roots for all of this. Root one is childhood expectations. Most boys, we're taught early, but the things we're taught is to be strong. We're taught, don't cry, handle it. So when life gets heavy, you don't reach out. What you do is you shut down. You don't process pain. You just carry it. And what doesn't get processed, it eventually leaks out. But the way it leaks out is it leaks out through your actions. Strength without release, it always turns inward. Root two, shame from past failures. When you fail in front of people who you care about, that moment, it actually sticks. It doesn't just hurt your confidence. It damages trust that you have within yourself. So now every new opportunity, it comes with this quiet thought. What if I mess this up again? Let me tell you something. That's not fear. That's memory. Your past isn't gone. What it's actually doing is it's negotiating your future. Root three, burnout and emotional exhaustion. A drained man becomes a destructive man. Not because he wants to ruin things, but because he has nothing left. When you're exhausted, your judgment, that completely drops. Your patience, you may have started with a big thing of patience, but it shrinks. Your impulses, they actually get louder. You're not sabotaging. What you're doing is you're running on fumes at this point. No one makes good decisions from an empty tank. All right. The fourth root, survival mode identity. If you spent years just trying to make it, peace, it begins to feel unfamiliar. Stability, what it actually does is it feels suspicious. So when life starts improving, your mind, it pulls you back. It pulls you back to what feels normal, even if normal is stress. The brain, what your brain prefers is familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. Your nervous system, It chooses what it knows. It doesn't choose what's good for it. The fifth root, no safe space for men to break down. Most men, they don't vent. Men, we don't cry. We don't even admit when we're tired. So instead of expressing pain, we express sabotage. And we do this through anger. We do it through withdrawal, quitting, and we do it through self-destruction. Not because we're broken, but because we're unsupported. Silence, what that does is it doesn't heal men. It actually hardens men. So I need you to listen closely. If you recognize yourself in any of this, like I said earlier, this isn't about shame. It's about understanding the pattern so that you can interrupt it. Awareness is the first form of control, because once you see the root, the behavior, it actually stops being a mystery for you. And now that you know where this comes from, I think we can get to the point where we can talk through the most common ways self-sabotage actually shows up. I want to put this disclaimer out here. I got to. If you recognize yourself in any of these patterns, it's not about shame. It's about understanding what's going on. It's about understanding and knowing what your next move is. All right? So let's get to this. This first habit is emotional numbness. Emotional numbness is the state of feeling detached or the inability to experience emotions. So basically, when you don't process emotions, you don't feel less, you actually feel nothing. And when you can't feel anything, you stop caring about everything. Some things that you should try is, don't try to feel better. Just try to feel something. Try to feel anything. The second thing is, I want you to say that one emotion out loud every day. Not in your head, say it out loud. So if it's anger, if it's rage, if it's frustration, say I'm angry. Say it loudly. The third thing is move your body hard. Move it hard a few times a week. Go for a jog, get to the gym, do something, because sweat, it wakes your nervous system back up. The fourth thing is have one honest conversation a week where you don't try to be strong. Numbness, it's not the end. It's the pause button for your body when it's getting too heavy. And once the feeling starts to come back, you'll notice something else is going to show up too. And that's energy. And that's where the next form of sabotage begins. The second form is choosing comfort over growth. If you're choosing comfort, it's not because you're lazy. It's because you're exhausted. Growth takes energy. Overwhelmness, what that does is it stills it. So ways to fix this is, first, instead of asking more from yourself, just reduce your load. An example would be saying no to extra overtime. You don't actually need it. Maybe for you, it may be skipping the gym a day and giving yourself a day to recover. Your body takes a lot of punishment, so you got to give yourself time to recover. The second thing, cut one non-essential obligation this week. Maybe it's something like going out on a social outing with your coworkers. The third thing would be to stop relying on willpower. For instance, if you're trying to get in shape, but you keep going out to eat with your friends to fast food restaurants, it's not helping you. Being overwhelmed doesn't just shut down your progress. It shuts down connections. And once that happens, you don't lean in. What you actually do is you push people away. The third thing would be pushing people away. You push people away because you don't want to be a burden, or because you're afraid that someone's going to ask you if you're okay, or because you don't want them to see that you're not okay. But isolation, it doesn't protect you. What it does is it slowly destroys you. And for this, the move would be, the first thing, reach out. Reach out to somebody before you collapse. For example, send one message that says, I'm not okay, and I don't need fixing. That way, You're asking for a presence, not a solution. Stay connected even when disappearing feels safe. There's so many things on social media that tells you that as a man to lock in and block out everyone and you'll achieve success. But they always fail to mention that when they do this, they typically have a mentor or they have someone in their corner that's pushing them, that's backing them. They're staying connected to somebody. Strong men don't isolate. What they do is they regulate through connections. Disappearing, it doesn't stop with relationships. It shows up in your goals. And here's the part most men don't want to admit. The same way that you disappear from people, you'll disappear from your own goals. Not because you're lazy though, but because you're finishing what forced you to face who you really are. Which this leads to the fourth habit. And what that is starting fast and ending early. If you start something strong and you disappear, it's not because you can't finish it. It's because deep down, you don't believe you deserve to finish it. This is identity-based sabotage. So stop chasing the motivation and make finishing inevitable. And you can do that by doing these three things. The first thing would be to shrink the goal. Shrink it until it's completed or until completion is guaranteed. For instance, your goal may be to be a millionaire. But let me ask you a question. Do you have 100K saved? What about 10K? Start with a small, more realistic goal, and then keep your ultimate goal in your mind. The second thing, publicly commit to one outcome. By you making a commitment in public, you're gonna put pressure on yourself to follow through. Not because you care what the other people think, but because you're a man and you're a man of your word. The third thing, finish something small. Do it every single day and do it on purpose. Something simple as a workout. Something simple as 10,000 steps. Complete a piece of content. That's something that little that you can do every single day. Identity is, it's built through evidence, not promises. It's not built through motivation. Now, here's what happened when a man finally starts finishing. The chaos all around them, it actually starts to quiet down. The excuses, well, they disappear. And then suddenly what happens is the pain he's been running from, it actually gets loud. That's when most men don't quit. They actually overwork. And that's the fifth thing. They overwork to escape pain. You might not numb yourself with alcohol or drugs, but what you do is you numb yourself with productivity, which is just another addiction. It's another form of it. 60 hours a week, 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week of work. Men do this all the time. Not because you love the grind, but because slowing down, what it means is you have to face yourself. But there's some things that you can do to help with this. First, I would schedule stillness. Second, I would block 20 minutes a week with no phone, no task, no noise. The third thing is I would ask one question. What am I avoid feeling? The fourth thing, replace one extra work hour with rest or presence. Pain, it doesn't disappear when you outrun it. It dissolves when you face it, which leads to the sixth thing, putting everyone before yourself. You give away everything. You give away your time, your energy, your money, your effort. In the end, you just end up empty. Self-neglect, it can feel like loyalty, but it's sabotage. And there's some ways that you can actually go about to stop that as well. The first thing would be set one boundary, just one. And whatever that boundary is, I want you to hold it. Hold on to it for 7 days. The second thing would be say no. And I want you to say no without explaining it, without justifying it, and without apologizing. The third thing, take what you get back. Take that time, that energy, the clarity, and invest it. Invest it in you. Invest it in your health. Invest it in your growth. Because you don't teach people how to treat you. You don't teach them how to treat you by what you say. You teach them by what you tolerate, all right? Now, the next thing, which is the seventh issue, expecting failure before you try, all right? With this, you may be so used to losing that winning, it feels unsafe. So when opportunity shows up, you sabotage it. Not because you don't want it, but because you're nervous. And your nervous system, it doesn't trust it. But there's some ways that you can actually retrain that. The first thing would be take small wins and don't downplay them. Don't joke them away. Don't rush past them. Take every small one. The second thing, stay with success. Stay with it long enough for your body to realize that nothing bad happened. And when discomfort shows up, ask yourself this: what part of me feels unsafe right now? Don't ask yourself what's wrong with me, but ask yourself, what is my system trying to protect? And then I want you to stay there. I want you to breathe. Then I want you to repeat it. Because understand this, your nervous system, it doesn't learn safety. It doesn't learn it through motivation. It learns safety through repetition. You did not learn how to grow, all right? That's not what you learned. That's not what most of us are taught. What we learned is how to survive. And survival strategies, well, they become self-sabotage. When it's all gone, but the patterns, they actually remain. This awareness that we have is the first break in the cycle. And from here, everything can actually change. Men don't sabotage their lives because they're failures. They sabotage them because, they sabotage it because they're carrying wounds alone. I know. You're not your mistakes. You are not your patterns. You are not your sabotage. What you are is you are a man who's learning himself again. You're a man who's rebuilding. You're a man who's rising. And the fact that you're still watching, that tells me one thing about you. It tells me that you're ready to break the cycle. So if this hits you, if you saw yourself in any of these patterns, any of the past issues, I want you to do me a favor. Subscribe. Because in the next video, I'm actually gonna break down something that will transform your entire identity. Confidence, not the fake kind, but the kind that's built from discipline, peace, and emotional mastery. I'll see you in video 6. Later.